Papa, why is the chicken crossing the road?
Oh, okay.
Papa, isn't the white car driving too fast?
Yes, beta, it's a bit too fast.
Can he stop if something suddenly blocks him?
There's something called stopping distance, which is a combination of braking distance and thinking distance.
Thinking distance? What is that, Papa?
Hello, friends, welcome back to another episode of Drive Safe. We are continuing with the series on safe distance. In this video, let's discuss the theory behind why we need to keep a gap from the vehicle in front of us. Let's say you're driving on the road and you notice a hazard suddenly. Your mind says, okay, brake. The distance that you've already covered by the time you've reacted or you've thought and put the brakes on is the thinking or the reaction distance. And the distance that your vehicle travels from the time that you applied the brakes till it comes to a full stop is the braking distance. Stopping distance is the combination of thinking distance and the braking distance. Why did the chicken cross the road? Oh, no, that's not the point of this video. Once I notice the hazard, here it's the chicken, what I decide to do, whether I brake suddenly or I slow down, whatever. By the time I decide what to do, the distance that my car has already traveled is the thinking distance or the reaction distance. Let's do a small home-based experiment. My son's toys. This yellow line is where he spots the hazard. He's driving fast, he sees the hazard, brakes, and that's the distance that the car goes. Second scenario, he's driving slow, sees the hazard, brakes, and he stops. If you notice carefully, the green blocks is when he is driving slow, the red blocks is when he was driving fast. Look at it from another angle. See, green and the red blocks, slower and faster. If a small toy car needs to travel so much distance before it comes to a complete stop, just imagine how much more distance would a car that is much faster, much heavier need to come to a grinding halt. Observe this black harrier. He goes very close to the truck. He's tailgating the truck, almost cuts off the Innova, then decides to wait. But this is the kind of driving that you and I should not be doing. If for some reason the truck guy had to brake suddenly, there was no way this harrier would have been able to stop himself. There is just too little gap to stop comfortably. Anyways, I'm glad nothing happened here. Everybody was safe. Here, the bike is quite close to the car. If the car stops suddenly, he may not be able to control himself. Thinking distance depends on the person driving, meaning how alert you are. Are you feeling sleepy? Are you taken any medications? Have you had alcohol? All that can affect your thinking distance greatly. I was enjoying the drive on this Chittoor Tirupati National Highway. I love this stretch, but keep watching, keep looking to the left. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a white car comes out onto the highway. Actually, for a brief second, I tried adjusting the volume at this point, because of which my reaction time was little bit later than it should have been. In this scenario, because I was not fully concentrating, even if for just a brief second, my thinking distance would be much longer than it should have been. They say Formula 1 drivers take about 1/3 of a second to react, whereas a normal driver would take about 1 to 2 seconds to react. And in those 2 seconds, the faster you're driving, the more distance your vehicle will have to cover before it can come to a stop. And that is where the danger lies if you are driving too close to a vehicle without maintaining a gap. Watch the biker on the left side. He is talking on his phone with his left hand. He's too close to the auto as well as to the bike, and before he realized, the bike had to stop, so he ended up rear-ending him. Many of us are generally overconfident as we drive on the roads. We think whatever happens, we will be able to control ourselves and stop completely. No, it's not that easy. It's not at all easy to beat physics. Take a good look at this chart, which talks about the speed and what is the typical thinking distance and what is the braking distance. So as you see, as your speed increases, your thinking distance also increases. So if you're driving at 110 kmph, look at your thinking distance, 21 meters. And these thinking distances are calculated for somebody who's able to respond in say about 0.6 to 0.7 seconds. Whereas they say a normal average driver takes about 1 to 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds on an average to respond to a hazard on the road. We get lots of obstacles on our roads as we drive. And if I am distracted as I drive, I can bump into any of them. I need to be careful. Just see this biker in the red t-shirt. He's distracted. He is talking on the phone. So his thinking distance will be increased. If you watch carefully in this Swift, the person driving and the lady next to him seem to be having an argument. I'm not sure whether they were arguing or not, but they seem to be having an argument. That can also distract you. That can also increase your thinking distance. You can have an accident. I once refused to buy some toy for my son and he was so upset. And he told me, Papa, you are so cruel. I may be cruel, I may be kind. I may have fought with a colleague. Maybe I had an argument with my wife. Maybe somebody called me useless. Whatever has happened so far, the moment I get into the driver's seat, I need to bin all of that. The reason being, if I'm very upset in my mind, that may potentially affect my thinking distance, and that could be very, very, very dangerous. Much easier said than done, but this is extremely important whenever you and I get onto the road as we drive. By the way, if you know which city this is that I'm driving through, please leave a comment in the comment section. I used to travel to college, all through college life, I used to catch a train from this city. Let's look at braking distance and the overall stopping distance now. If we look at this carefully, we'll realize that as the speed increases, the braking distance almost exponentially increases. At 30 kilometers per hour, if my stopping distance is 12 meters, if I am driving at 110 kmph or 70 miles per hour, look at the overall stopping distance, it's 96 meters. That is almost the length of a football field that I need to travel before I can stop. The faster you drive, the heavier your vehicle is. You might have to travel much more than a football field's length before you come to a stop. And that can be extremely dangerous. It could even be fatal. I want to get onto the highway. I'm trying to turn right, looking at the traffic from the right. See this biker? He's almost driving as if he wants to sit on my bonnet and drive. But anyway, I saw him, nothing happened. But isn't it his fault if I end up hitting him because he's so close to me? The same mistake this lady biker is doing. She's cutting me off. She doesn't realize it. If something suddenly comes and she has to brake suddenly, how do I stop without hitting her from the back? I may not have enough space to stop. Many bikers all over India make this mistake. How do they expect somebody who's driving a car or a truck or a bus to stop suddenly if they cut them off like this? And if by mistake my car ends up just touching them or grazes their back, what will they do? They'll probably stop their bike, get off, and start arguing with me as if it was my fault. If you suddenly cut me off, I'm not Superman here. I won't be able to stop. I need my space. Only then will I be able to control myself without hitting you. Many people do this. Bikes, cars, trucks, even mini pickup trucks. Everybody does this mistake. They just go too close to the vehicle in front. I personally always prefer to see a good stretch of road between myself and the vehicle in front, especially on the highways. That is mandatory. Even here, I'm keeping my distance and see this white car just suddenly cuts across in front of me. Anyway, I don't bother. As long as I'm safe, I just let these guys go. When there's a lot of vehicles jostling for space on the road, I just take 2 steps back. Please don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to boast, but I kinda always remember Rajnikant's dialogue. Singam Singalada Varum. I am in no hurry. I will wait only when I feel that the space is adequate for me. Only then will I go ahead and overtake. If I don't get space, no problem. I'll still stay well behind you. Because I know suddenly something comes in front of you. If I'm tailgating you, I will not be able to stop myself in time. Like I said, we all think we can control ourselves. Now just keep watching this two-wheeler. He's not keeping enough gap and just keep watching there. Tabak. You got to respect physics, my friend. And he conveniently blames the truck guy who can't even see him. In Bangalore, now look at this biker in the grey t-shirt. He's turning to the left, he's looking back and still driving. See? He is not fully concentrating. He is bound to run into trouble. Only a fool breaks the 2-second rule. We've discussed this in the previous video. Please have a look at it if you got some time. Watch the Innova. He's too close to the Mahindra Jeep in front of him. The thinking distance depends on the person driving, how alert he is, how fast his reflexes are. Is he or she on any medications that can cause drowsiness or sleepiness? Is he tired, fatigued, under the influence of alcohol? All these, as we discussed, can affect the thinking distance. This was on the Yamuna Expressway. The braking distance depends a lot on your speed. The faster you are, the more distance you need before you can come to a stop. It also depends on the road condition. How good are the roads? How good are your tires? How good are your brakes? How is your overall car condition? All that makes a difference. And also the overall weight of your vehicle. And that's the reason why you will say different speed limit for trucks and buses. It's not being discriminatory. It is just because the trucks are much more heavier and they need more distance before they can come to a stop. Braking distance is also significantly affected by the weather conditions. If the roads are wet, if it's raining heavily, again you need much more distance before you can stop. If it is foggy, if you're driving through snowy regions, your tires may not have enough traction. You may not be able to stop as you would stop on a regular normal road. This was in Bhutan. So if you notice, our bus is being overtaken by a green Hyundai car, and ideally that distance is not adequate. If we had to stop, we would not have been able to stop in time. So he needs to give us more gap before he can cut across into the left side of the road. When I drive keeping a gap from the vehicle in front, many people keep honking at me impatiently, but I don't bother. I mean, I know I'm doing it for a specific reason and it is for my own safety. You can think whatever you want, I don't really bother. You can call me a Buddha, you can call me irritating, boring, dull, doesn't matter. I'm doing it for a specific reason and I will continue to do it because end of the day, I want to continue driving and I want to stay safe as well. So friends, a quick recap before we end this video. I am quite thankful to my kids for helping me out. We had to take multiple shots of driving these remote control cars. I couldn't do it well, but they somehow managed. Thinking distance and braking distance. Thinking distance is dependent a lot on the driver, how alert he is, how active he is he concentrating fully on the road or not. All that makes a difference. And braking distance depends on how fast you are driving, how are your tires, the road conditions, your overall car condition, and your weight of the vehicle as well. And maintaining a safe gap from the vehicle in front of me is an excellent way of controlling my speed, because if I want to maintain a gap, I will have to base my speed on what his speed is. I don't have a choice. And that's why I feel maintaining a distance is so important, especially on our chaotic roads. So friends, I'll stop this video here. We will continue on the series. I have at least 3 or 4 or 5 more videos planned on distance itself. And till we meet again in our next video, let's all drive safe and be safe. Goodbye friends.